So I hope you are able to see the picture here. So the presenting parts. Hansraj, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see here, beta. So where is the base resting? It is overlapping the upper pole of the right kidney. Then apex is directed above and it is overlapped by inferior vena cava. Okay. So anterior surface, this is the place which is actually called as hilum, through which you are finding, are you finding there is one suprarenal vein which is emerging from here? Okay. So the anterior surface is presenting a hilum through which you are finding the emergence of suprarenal vein. Okay. Then this picture is actually showing the relations. So this, see here. So basically, though this is not such a very good picture, but this is actually, it will help us to understand the subdivisions of the suprarenal gland. This is complete anterior surface which is divided into medial and lateral areas by a vertical ridge. Okay, so this vertical ridge is actually called as anterior border. Okay, so the anterior border divides the anterior surface into medial area and lateral area. So medial area is actually not covered with peritoneum and it is coming directly below the inferior vena cava. We have seen just now here, like it is, this area is very close to inferior vena cava. Then lateral area is further subdivided, you can see with this dotted line. So which is having again upper part which is non-peritoneal and it is related to bare area of liver, and lower part is this, it is covered with the inferior layer of right coronary ligament of the liver. Okay. Now, see, I will repeat again, beta. See, this is the anterior surface of right suprarenal gland. Okay. So, in the anterior surface of the right suprarenal gland, you are finding one border. What is this border, Lokesh?
Vertical ridge. Anterior border.
Anterior border. How many surfaces you are finding here? The anterior border is further subdivided into two areas. This is
Two.
medial area. Okay, and this is
And lateral area.
lateral area. Okay,
Lateral area.
medial area is directly below inferior vena cava. That's why this medial area is not covered with peritoneum. Lateral area is further subdivided into two parts. Okay, upper large part and lower small part. Upper large part is related to bare area of the liver. Okay, what is bare area of the liver? Emalata?
Those areas which are not covered by any peritoneum.
Okay. What is the bare area which you find on the posterior aspect of the liver? It is between which two layers of the coronary ligaments? Superior and inferior layers of coronary ligaments will be enclosing the bare area, and exactly that bare area is occupied by this upper non-peritoneal area. Okay, then lower part it is covered with inferior layer of right coronary ligament. Okay. Now this picture will help us to understand. See, this is the anterior surface of the suprarenal gland. Okay, this anterior surface is actually divided further by medial border. Okay, sorry, anterior border into medial surface, lateral surface. Okay, medial surface is covered with inferior vena cava and lateral surface is covered with bare area in the above, lower by the very good coronary. Okay, now coming to the, see, this is kidney, isn't it? And at the upper pole you are finding the right suprarenal gland. Now when you talk about the posterior surface is divided by a curved ridge into upper and lower areas. Of course here I didn't keep the picture. Okay, so it will be divided like into the upper area and lower area. So upper area is convex and it is coming in contact with diaphragm, and this Diaphragm is actually separating the posterior upper surface of the suprarenal gland from right costodiaphragmatic recess. That is the right lung. Okay, costodiaphragmatic recess of the right lung. Okay, then lower area is concave and it is related, it is coming very close to the right kidney. Are you able to figure out what I am trying to tell you?
Yes,
Posterior
ma'am.
surface, yes. Okay, it is now just draw one horizontal line, imagining posterior surface. It has upper area and lower area. Upper area is separated by the diaphragm and it is separated by costodiaphragmatic
Coastal
recess of right
diplomatic
lobe.
basis.
Okay, lower area is related to right kidney. Okay, then see the distance between the medial borders of the right suprarenal gland and left suprarenal gland is 5 centimeters, and the structures which are intervening between the right and left suprarenal gland are right crus of diaphragm. There you will have, you remember we have celiac trunk with blood vessels supplying the derivatives of foregut. Exactly
Yes, ma'am.
there we have celiac ganglion. Okay, and right inferior phrenic artery. Okay, apart from that, just adjacent to that we have azygous vein. How is the azygous vein formed? Formation: ascending lumbar vein and subcostal vein will join to form azygous vein. Okay, cisterna chyli. What is cisterna chyli?
The
Starting
duct of
point of
lymph node.
Thoracic.
thoracic duct, which is an expanded lymphatic sac. Okay, then you are finding abdominal aorta with celiac trunk, then left crus of diaphragm. Right crus of diaphragm will show right celiac ganglion, left crus of diaphragm will show left celiac ganglion. Anyhow, ganglions I will explain clearly with one separate topic like sympathetic chain in the last few topics. Okay. Now, coming to this lateral border, it is again overlapped by the liver, and medial border, it is related to right celiac ganglion and right inferior phrenic artery. Lokesh, right inferior phrenic artery is a branch of which artery? Hemalata? Hansraj?
Ma'am,
Right inferior phrenic artery is a branch of which artery?
okay.
Ritika, Imad?
Descending aorta, ma'am.
Very first branch coming from descending thoracic aorta. Okay. Now see here. This is the right phrenic artery. This is the left phrenic artery. Okay. So now let us talk about left suprarenal gland. What is the shape of left suprarenal gland? I told you.
Semilunar.
Semilunar.
Semilunar. Very good. Okay. Now it is actually longer and at a higher level and near to the vertebral column than the right gland. Why the right suprarenal gland is little lower in position? Can you tell me?
Liver.
Yeah, because
Liver
on
is
the right
situated.
side we have liver. Very good. So left gland is semilunar in shape and its concavity. This is the concavity, okay, which is directed not near the midline, but the concavity is away from the midline. So that's why you are telling concavity is directed laterally, convexity is directed medially near to the midline. That means if you move this side, you will have abdominal aorta and inferior vena cava. Hope you are able to correlate that. Now coming to the presenting parts, it also has one upper end, it has lower end, similarly anterior surface, posterior surface, then medial border and lateral border. Okay, presenting parts. So then lower end is actually rounded and it is close to the anterior surface. Okay, and here you can see in the lower end hilum is present. Okay, then through which you are finding the left suprarenal vein passes
The vein
downwards
passes.
and medial. Okay, then this is the upper end, it is very narrow and upper end will be actually related to spleen. Okay, yeah, see here, this is whatever bluish structure you are finding here. uh, this is of course gastric area is also there. This is the hilum of the spleen. We will see the relations. Now coming to the anterior surface, So it has, again you just divide this into the upper and lower areas. Then upper area is covered with peritoneum of lesser sac. That's why gastric area was shown in the previous picture. I'll show that picture again. Lower area is actually not covered with peritoneum and it is overlapped with the body of pancreas and splenic artery. Okay. We'll go back to that picture. Actually, this is Datta's diagram, which gives us relations very clearly. So this whole thing is anterior surface. You just draw one horizontal line. Okay. Then this becomes the upper surface. This becomes the lower surface of the left suprarenal gland. Upper surface, as it is written here, it is related to stomach gastric area, and lower surface it is related to pancreas. And we know at the upper border of pancreas we have the splenic artery. Okay, like that you try to remember the relations of the anterior surface. Okay, upper area, because it is related to the stomach, it is covered with peritoneum, that is the lesser sac. Lower area, it is not covered with peritoneum. Okay. Then posterior surface of the suprarenal gland, again it is divided by a curved ridge. Now it will be divided into lateral area and medial area. Okay, so lateral area is this, where I am keeping the arrow. Of course it is not in front but behind. So lateral area is actually related to left kidney, whereas medial area will be coming close to the left crus of diaphragm.
Diaphragm.
Okay, what is the extent of the left crus of the diaphragm, Ritika?
Abdominal aorta.
L1, L2.
L1 and L2. Okay. Okay, so posterior surface, medial and lateral areas. Medial area is related to left crus. Lateral area is actually covering the left kidney. Okay. Then now coming to the borders. So we have medial border and lateral border. See, this is lateral border, isn't it? I told you this border is concave and away from midline. This lateral border is overlapping the left kidney. Medial border is convex. And you can see the ganglion also here. It is related to left celiac ganglion. Okay. Then left inferior phrenic and gastric arteries. See, this is the inferior phrenic artery, very first branch of abdominal aorta, which is going and supplying the diaphragm. And also the gastric arteries are actually not seen here. So medial border is related to left celiac ganglion, then left inferior phrenic artery and gastric arteries also. Okay. Now coming to the subdivisions of the suprarenal gland, I told you it is covered by true capsule and false capsule. False capsule is derived from renal fascia. True capsule is formed by the condensation of the gland itself. When you do the cut section of the gland, you will see outer area is called cortex and inner area is called medulla. So in the cortex region, again we will have three subdivisions. I will show and discuss. Then this is the medulla region. Actually, when you see embryologically also, it is actually derivative of neural crest cells. For few students who are with me right from the beginning, I told them neural crest cell derivatives are very, very important when discussing the CNS development also. So actually, this is adrenal medulla is actually developed from the neural crest cells. Very good, ectoderm. Very good, ectoderm. Okay. This picture will help us to understand the blood supply of suprarenal gland. Hansraj, can you tell me which artery is giving blood supply to the suprarenal gland?
Phrenic and right hand.
Actually, three set of arteries are there. Okay, this is superior suprarenal artery. This is middle suprarenal artery. This is inferior suprarenal. Okay. Superior suprarenal artery is a branch of inferior phrenic artery. Okay. Middle suprarenal artery is a direct branch coming from abdominal aorta. And inferior phrenic artery is an artery coming as a branch from renal artery. Okay. Then coming to venous drainage, right suprarenal vein is directly draining into inferior vena cava, whereas left suprarenal vein is draining into left renal vein. Left renal vein will drain into inferior vena cava. It's not direct connection. Okay, left suprarenal vein first will drain into left renal vein. Left renal vein will carry the blood into inferior vena cava. Blood supply of suprarenal gland itself can be 3 marks question. As such, adrenal gland or suprarenal gland may come as 5 marks or sometimes essay question also. Okay, that is. So whatever we have discussed from that picture is written here. The superior suprarenal artery is a branch of inferior phrenic, middle is a direct branch from abdominal aorta, and inferior is a branch of renal artery. Okay, and we know the venous drainage. The right suprarenal vein is directly draining into inferior vena cava. Left vein is draining first into left renal vein, and then it is draining into inferior vena cava. Okay, sometimes it may drain into inferior phrenic vein also. Instead of like left renal vein, the venous blood may go into inferior phrenic vein. Thereby also finally it will drain into inferior vena cava. Okay, then sometimes the suprarenal veins may form anastomosis with inferior phrenic vein, like you can see in this picture. Okay, like this. Sometimes they may form anastomosis. Okay, so this is again blood supply only. So, coming to the lymphatic drainage, always you should remember the nearby lymph nodes. Okay, the suprarenal gland nearby lymph nodes are the lymphs which are from here the lymph is getting collected and then it is moving to right and left lumbar lymph nodes are lateral aortic group of lymph nodes. Okay, para-aortic also is the word used. Whether you use para-aortic or lateral aortic group, it is same. From here, the lymph will move to, I'm showing you the, not directly, no, but no, from aortic to celiac. Isn't it? This is the area, celiac group of lymph nodes. From there, to the lumbar lymphatic trunks. From there, it will open into cisterna chyli. Isn't it? Now coming to the nerve supply, the nerve supply of suprarenal gland, it is we have sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic is coming from celiac plexus T8 to L1. Parasympathetic is vagus because it is found in the abdomen. Okay. Then. Now see here, when you talk about the, because we cannot discuss applied aspects without knowing the histology of this gland. So see, this is the cortex of the gland and this is the medulla of the gland. So when you see, of course, the outermost condensation of the tissue is forming the true capsule of the gland. Just below the true capsule, you just try to remember a code GFR. Okay, zona is there, then glomerular filtration rate, just for an idea, GFR. Okay, zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata and zona reticularis. Okay, so after this cortex area, in the central region we have the medulla. Okay, so from the cortex we have different hormones. From the zona glomerulosa we have aldosterone coming. Okay, then from, so actually we use the word mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids and sex hormones from these three. Okay, the most important mineralocorticoid we have is aldosterone. Okay, second layer we have is glucocorticoids. Okay, what is the most important glucocorticoid we have? Cortisol. Okay, then we have sex hormones like androgens coming from zona reticularis. Okay, glomerulosa, fasciculata and reticularis. So actually aldosterone is called as life-saving hormone. If this hormone is not there, person will die because it is concerned with the regulation of water balance. Okay, salt, sodium reabsorption and water balance. At least with the other hormones, even if they are deficient, we can survive. But without aldosterone, the person will die. Okay. Then this is adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla is concerned with the release of hormones like epinephrine and norepinephrine. This is derived from neural crystals, okay, which are ectodermal derivatives. When you draw histology picture, it looks something like this. Okay, so that is zona, glomerulosa, fasciculata, reticularis, mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, and sex hormones called as androgens. Okay. Then anyhow, I already told you mineralocorticoids are concerned with the fluid and electrolyte balance. That's why life-saving hormone. Glucocorticoids are concerned more with the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Okay, sex hormones for the development of pre-pubertal development of sex organs. Okay, epinephrine, norepinephrine are catecholamines which help us to cope up with stress. Suppose if you have exam, as you won't study whole year, but the last 1 month or 15 days or 2 months, you will become very serious and you will be going into distinction. How is it possible? Because these are the hormones which help us to face the stress and strain. Okay, that is. All these are not required beta physiology components. So some part of development, if you see the mesodermal in origin, you will see the cortex is derived from mesoderm and medulla is derived from ectoderm. I told you, neural crest cells. Only this part you try to remember. Cortex is mesoderm. Even kidney is also mesodermal in origin. Very close to the upper pole of the kidney. Basically, okay, when we do embryology, I'll tell you. Now see here, coming to adrenal disorder, suppose if there is excessive release of cortisol, then it will lead to a syndrome called as Cushing syndrome. Okay, so Cushing syndrome is characterized by high blood cortisol is a hormone which is actually increasing blood glucose levels. So if this hormone is more, person will suffer with diabetes mellitus type of disease only. Hypertension, that is high blood pressure, weakness, edema. Okay, muscle weakness will be there, bone also becomes weak. Okay, due to protein catabolism, breakdown of proteins are being broken down. Okay, abnormal fatty deposition, moon phase, buffalo hump, purple striae, what you are finding here. Okay, so these are all purple striae. So this is buffalo hump, you can see, like these are purple striations. The skin also bruises very easily. Okay, so that is. So moon phase. See, actually you can compare two babies. Actually these are twins. You can see Cushing's baby with a normal baby. Okay. So the excessive adrenal hormone. So pituitary tumor. That means if there is excessive ACTH secretions, then you call it as Cushing's disease. And if it is cortisol excess, then you call it as Cushing's syndrome. Okay. Again, these points are repeated in that. Because again you may have all clinical type of questions, no, like Cushing syndrome is usually seen in middle-aged people. It may be either due to pituitary adenoma which secretes, suppose if it is ACTH is released more, obviously it goes and stimulates adrenal gland more for the release of adrenal hormones, isn't it? Are direct adrenal tumors, or sometimes we have certain tumors which are ectopic. Ovarian tumors are there which may start releasing ACTH. Krukenberg's tumors, they are called as. Okay, some like different tumors, paraneoplastic syndromes, they are actually called as. They may start producing hormones like ACTH. Iatrogenic in the sense, when the doctor has started treating a particular disease, sometimes due to the increase in cortisol levels, the person may suffer with Cushing syndrome. That's what physician induced is actually called as iatrogenic, doctor induced. Some medications, improper balance. Okay, you can see both the pictures here, twin sisters, how different. You can see moon phase, buffalo hump. Okay, such clear pictures we can see for buffalo hump in case of Cushing syndrome. So, and there is a condition which is called as adrenogenital syndrome. So, basically, I told you androgens is, they are coming from zona reticularis. Suppose if they are produced before puberty itself, you will see there will be enlargement of genital organs before puberty. Even in case of new, like female who is only 6 to 7 year old or 4 to 5 year old, we can see even menstrual cycles. These are all imbalancing of hormones because of this adrenogenital syndrome. You will see precocious puberty, nothing but. Okay, early onset of puberty. Okay, body hair may be there, deeper voice may be there, beard may grow. Okay, so that is. So there is a condition which is called as Addison's disease also, where you will see hypoadrenalism. Okay, so anything that disturbs the production of adrenal hormones. It may be due to tuberculosis, which is basically it will attack lung, but through blood circulation it can come and damage the adrenal gland also. Okay, you can see Addison's disease, like you will see decreased glucose levels, drop in blood pressure. Okay, because water and salt imbalance will be there. Basically, aldosterone levels will go down, and darkening of skin like this. Okay, there is a syndrome called as Cone syndrome, where you will see adrenal gland is hyperplasia, means excessive multiplication of cells of that particular gland is actually called as hyperplasia. Okay, the size of the gland will increase, and there is overproduction of mineralocorticoids, that is aldosterone, because of which there is hypertension, high blood pressure. Sodium and potassium transport will be always in reverse direction. There is excessive absorption of sodium ions from the renal tubules and excessive loss of potassium ions through urine. That's why there will be hypokalemia. Loss of potassium in the urine is hypokalemia. Okay. So there is adrenal hypoplasia. Hypoplasia means, hyper means more, hypo means less. Okay. So that means the size of the gland is actually reducing. So in such cases, you will see the newborn babies may produce some birth defects. Like you see the head of the baby may not be formed properly. You call this condition as anencephaly. Okay. So adrenal cytomegaly is excessive multiplication of cells, where you will see large number of polyhedral cells in the adrenal cortex. Okay. So adrenal tumors, cancers, they release cortisol. They may be responsible for Cushing syndrome. Okay. So adrenal adenoma, carcinoma. Adenoma is early stage of cancer, and carcinoma is late stage. Okay. So like different conditions we may find. Sometimes it may be one side tumor may lead to atrophy of contralateral, the opposite gland. Okay. So in such cases we may find low ACTH and high cortisol levels. Okay. You can see the comparative study, like how, see this is the normal adrenal gland. If the size is reduced, then you call it as hypoplasia. The size is increased, you call it as hyperplasia. Okay. So hyperplasia generally we find with tumors. Hypoplasia or atrophy we generally see either with old age or due to non-functional gland. Okay. That is. There is a tumor of adrenal medulla which is called as pheochromocytoma. Okay, adrenal medullary tumor is pheochromocytoma. Obviously, if adrenal medulla is releasing, if it is developing more, multiplying more, obviously it will produce more hormones. That is, epinephrine and norepinephrine levels will shoot up. It may also lead to hypertension again. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay. Just a minute.